Well, we are back at the Benco booth. That's number 48091. I'm Kim Scott, host of the Powder Coater podcast, and I have a really cool guest on right now. I just met him. His name's Sam, and he's with RTP Customs. And I'm happy to have him here because they just produced a Benco's video. We have it up on our. We'll post a link in this at the bottom of this video. But they did a really great video showing how they use Benco, the B-17E strip tank, and the chemicals that come along with it, and how it's prepared. And I interviewed Felipe the other day, but this is the other half of RTP Customs, Sam. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So, have you been to SEMA before?
This is actually my first time.
Are you a virgin?
I'm a SEMA virgin, that's for sure.
Me too. All right. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
We got our mugs here, Powder Coated mugs, Powder Coated podcast mugs. So, what do you think so far? Just walking into the building and stuff.
It's humongous. I mean, everything is just bigger sizes, and it's amazing to see like-minded people as you're walking through.
I mean, this whole building is just about rims. This is your haven here. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've done a set of every one of these brands in here and stuff like that. But when did you start the business?
So we started in 2015. Started out of my home garage in Georgia.
How we all start.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Absolutely. It's humble beginnings.
Yeah. It is.
You live and you learn through the process, through your mistakes, and here we are today.
Yeah. Now, what is it that you do in the business now?
So I specialize on the front end, so customer service, taking care of the sales, the revenue, making sure that we're meeting our goals, and also building the foundation, the structure, in order for us to have nice processes that can be repeated.
Yeah,
that's what I strive for.
Right. Yeah, because it is end to end. Even the back end of your business, which Felipe does a lot of that part in the operations part. But I'm always fascinated between the operations side communicating with the sales side, because it actually can be kind of complicated sometimes when people don't talk. My husband is that part. He's the operations. He's the Felipe in our brand, right? And I'm the front person and salesperson. And so that, you do have to talk and communicate from end to end, because it's about the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, we have to figure out a way to make sure that the customer's needs and expectations are being met by operation, and then also operations needs are being met by the sales team, because we can't be, over-promising and then, throwing the operations under the bus. So it's a cycle, it's a team, we have to work together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the mantra that we seem to have at County Powderworks is, sort of under promise and over deliver. And I don't know why we do it that way, but we want to come in our deadlines a little earlier. A lot of what we do isn't just rims, though, or automotive products. We do a lot of structural and architectural stuff too, as well. So a lot of times when contractors come in, they wanted it yesterday. You know what I mean? Or we're not a drive-in service for the automotive enthusiasts, so we have to kind of, okay, you got to go see the tire guy around the corner to get your, there's a little bit of coordinating there. But are you a drive-in service, or are you coordinating too?
No, we're basically a drive-in service. Our number one goal is to serve the automotive industry in this case, and basically from day one we stuck to it. We sometimes when money's calling for other parts, you tend to kind of steer away from your core focus, and then we have to learn the hard way, because there's moments where we're not meeting deadlines, and we're having to pay way more out of pocket in order to meet those type of projects that are coming in, and we're still not performing the way we want to perform. So that's why we steered back to our core focus, which is real repair, real powder coating, and everything that's related to it.
Right, yeah. I think that's a really good business model to have in the future of powder coating. I think operations like yours, I mean, I know it sounds like you're dominating your area right now, but I mean, in the future, I think what I'm seeing is like specialty places that you can go drive your car in and get all these services, because you used to have to go to this guy for the detail and this guy for the tint and this guy for all these different things for your car. But I think powder coaters have an advantage to adding related businesses and accessory businesses to their brand. Do you agree?
Absolutely. So in this case, if you already know how to powder coat and you have already set up a team of powder coaters and in this case wheel repair technicians, you already have created what's the hardest part, the skillful aspect of it. So for us, in order to accommodate to the customer's needs and become a one-stop shop, we decided to build a newer shop further away from our production plant. And then from there, we started offering other services like window tint, paint protection film, ceramic coating, detailing, full car wraps. So that way, when a car comes in, the customer is already wanting to spend the money for other services. Why not capitalize on it while offering convenience where they're able to drop off their car in one shop and everything's being done in the same time frame as if you're going to get the wheels done. And that's what we capitalized on back in 2020. It's a newer concept. And of course, our production plant, which is in Marietta, the technicians there, they don't do anything but wheels. So it's not like we had to teach them an extra skill of wrapping and window tint. We separated it completely in order for us to maintain quality and good customer service and a good turnaround time for the cars that are coming in.
That is so smart. And I mean, if it wasn't for 2020, were you on that track to begin with prior to the whole COVID pandemic thing?
So here's the thing: when we first started RTP Customs, everything was just so spontaneous. If I have this idea, I want to perform on it right away. We don't look at financials. We don't look at the market share. We don't look at anything. If opportunities knock our door, I'm jumping on it. Of course, now that we have gotten much bigger, things have changed a little bit. But in 2020, I was driving through Roswell, which is a very high-end area. There's a lot of dealerships, and I knew that I wanted a shop in that area. And all of a sudden, I saw this 35,000 square foot facility that was up for rent.
Wow.
And the first thought that came through my mind is like, there's no way we can get ourselves in a 35,000 square foot facility. But deep inside, I was like, we can do it. We knew that we can do it with the right people, with Felipe by my side. We can make it happen. We jumped on it and we started coming up with ideas to fill it up. So 2020 definitely helped us. And plus, in this case, people were working from home, so leaving their car for a couple of days or even a week at a time was not an issue for them.
Right.
So that helped us build our business much stronger.
Yeah, I think that was a special time for all of us if we were making moves. I mean, we started the podcast in 2020.
Okay, excellent.
So I think, if we were still on the same track as what we were doing in 2019, we wouldn't be where we are today. I mean, I hate to, I'm always somebody that looks at the rainbows and the unicorns in the overcast skies or whatever, but I think a lot of people made some bold, big moves that are paying off now. You expanded your business, but all I did was just start a podcast.
Which is great because in this case, to be open with you, the podcast is something that our community truly needs.
Yeah.
We don't have a closed niche community where we can refer back to a friend and say, hey, I'm having an issue with this particular powder coat.
Yeah.
What can you do? But with a podcast like this, I think it's going to bring us all together because we're here to learn from one another. We're here to figure out ways to better serve our customers that are coming through.
Yeah, I think it's not just that though. It's also like the younger generation doesn't versus the older generation. Okay, I'm not going to include myself in this. Okay, but objectively thinking, of the people that I know in this industry, the people that have been in the powder coating industry for over 40 years, most of the time they're not into that vibe, right? It's the younger guys that are starting today or started 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. They're the ones that want to help and build a community because they know that they'll be more successful if they do, and people want to give back.
Absolutely.
So I like that your attitude is towards that because when you do talk to these old stodgy guys, a lot of them don't really care.
They want to keep it for themselves.
They do, yeah. And I think it's hurting us because it's certainly hurting the greater industry. Education is lacking in our industry. Also, the other thing is we need to onboard more people able to do these kinds of unique skills and have these unique skill sets and train them up, because they did a survey on the Powder Coating Institute did a survey where they were interviewing, or they reached out to what these guys are going to be like retiring in 10 years or less. And these are people that are veterans that have so much information, but have it all here, and they're not sharing it to the next generation. At the same time, I don't think we have enough coders coming on board. I think there needs to be more too. At least, maybe the custom coder starting his own shop, he's fine. But these bigger companies are going to be hungry for more employees that need to have those skills, and but I think the greater industry, what I've come to realize in the podcast is that the powder coating industry doesn't PR itself well enough. It could do better. I mean, custom coders are hustling on the Instagram every day, but that's not the greater industry. The greater industry has no clue. But I think the podcast, and I was very encouraged yesterday with a great, had a nice off-camera discussion with Eva yesterday. And I was really encouraged by what they had to say and talk to me about and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what the future brings.
Yeah, I think education is extremely important for anybody. In this case, somebody like myself that's young in this industry. I don't want to be making the same mistake as somebody else has already made years back, that has the ability to walk me through it if I'm willing to learn, so I can better serve my customers.
Or at least have a better understanding, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to make your own mistakes, but at least you'll have a better understanding of your rim or and stuff like that. Right?
Absolutely. And I think, the newer generation with us, we're very aware of the free knowledge that we're able, and the free value that we're able to give other people. If I know something, I'm willing to share it, because I know what it feels like to struggle when you already have deadlines that you're trying to meet, and on top of it, you have bills that you're trying to pay, and you're stuck in a problem over and over again. In this case, for us, it doesn't always have to be production. It can also be on the business aspect of it. Financially, it could be running your business. How do you answer your phone call? How do you bring more sales in? How do you brand? Small things like this, if I'm able to provide free value to the person, absolutely, to the person that's within the community.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, and that's something that I strive.
Okay, so you're saying you're going to be a regular on the podcast?
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. That'll be
the spot.
Honestly, I would love to, because in this case, again, free value is what we strive for.
Yeah.
The thing is, the reason why we decide to take that risk of opening up our own business is not to be slaves to our business 24/7. It's basically to figure out how can we run a business so lean that we have the ability to step away while that company's making money on its own, and not have to be there 24/7.
Okay, let's cheers to that.
Yes, absolutely. So the audience may be asking, what are we drinking in here? So Kim, what's in our drink?
Well, it's not what I want. What I want is a nice cold beer on a Thursday afternoon.
Well, I guess what I'm drinking is the future of what this podcast is going to be like.
Yes. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that attitude. And I was thinking of something that, shucks, I lost my thought. He said something when I was asking him the other day about the business. I lost my thought, but I think you're on track, and I think the podcast and what I want from it is to try to see trends happening, or at least the flow of business, right? We might have some economic headwinds in the future here. We don't know, but I want to try to get these coders a greater understanding of maybe the future, or what could happen in the near future, where they want to track their business. Like you knew where you wanted to track your business. A lot of guys just want to powder coat. They're not thinking that far ahead, right? And then they get busy enough, and then they're like, well, this is kind of serious, right? So that's great.
Yeah, a lot of times, you get an amazing technician that looks at the business owner that's running the company he's working for, and he's like, man, this company is being run by idiots. Until he goes on his own and he runs his own company, and he realizes it's not a piece of cake.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot more to it than just simply powder coating a wheel or powder coating a piece of metal. So I think part of this podcast and part of the community, we need to be able to educate the people out there, not to just simply be amazing technicians, because we have, I'm sure in this community there's a lot of amazing technicians.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
But what can we do in order to help them run this business without having them to be stressed? Because I know what stress is like running a business 24/7, and it's not fun.
No.
And if we're able to give our people the tools to brand the proper way, to run their financials the proper way, to know exactly where they stand on a day-to-day basis, I think that'll be the victory.
Okay, so
for this community.
my brain came back to life there, and I remember what I was going to ask. So when I asked Felipe what you guys charge for rims, and he said, he said the number. Well, it was $250.
Yeah.
That's the starting price, and I went, oh wow, you get it, because this is my biggest gripe. Powder coaters don't charge enough for their work, especially rims, and we were suffering with that too. So anytime Ross pisses me off, that's my husband.
Okay.
He's the lead powder coater. And we're just mom and pop, but anytime he pisses me off, I go around him and I figure out a better way to solve my own problem without having to go through him. And so what I decided to do was build a price calculator for us.
Nice.
So there was no guessing, and there was no back and forth, or this and that, you said this and that, or whatever, and I just try to solve the communication problems between my husband and I, because the last thing you want is, after you have this very happy customer, once they're driving away, you're like, you didn't charge enough for that, kind of thing. So it seems to work pretty well for us, and I even shock my husband, like, we test each other, because he'll try to get it out of his head without using the calculator. And then I'll come back with the calculator, and then every time he's like, you know what, you're right, I should charge you, whatever. So that's really been a thing that's helped us. But I think in general, I would love to see custom coaters, when they're at this, when they're learning and stuff, it's very hard to charge, these are humble people, right? And they don't feel comfortable charging when they know it may not be perfect, or it may be, for you to set your price and that's your price, and you're not thinking of redos, and you're not thinking about extra powder or that sort of stuff,
Plus your skill, it's worth a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
We tend to undervalue our skill.
Yeah,
when
that's
somebody asks for the price.
Yeah, so I want to try to tackle that and get custom coaters to know more about why they're charging the prices that they are, why they should charge more, and what can we do about it? What dialogue will it take for all of us to understand and have a better understanding of our work and our hands? And I'm going to tell you this from a personal level, because my husband was in a motorcycle accident right on Thursday, of all days, and he broke his hand. Everybody on the podcast knows this already. And he's still kind of in recovery. And although it's not his powder coating hand, he can tape again. So, he's trying to measure his progress by all the things he can do with two hands now. And when he lifts, he can't really put any pressure on the hand, so he has to lift with his forearm, and stuff like that. And then yesterday, I had Scott Morris come by, and Scott Morris owns SM Powder Coaters out of Arizona, and he came by with his 3 strapping young boys, his sons, and that have picked up the pace for him, and because he had some major surgery on his arm where he can't straighten it out and stuff. And what are you going to do? Because you do work with your hands, and you've got to realize that they're precious items on your body, and what's going to happen to you if something happens to you, right? How are you going? What is your contingency there? And I know that's the farthest thing from your mind, but that's why you want to charge good prices, and you want to build up your clientele, you know, and you want to have, you know, other ways to fund yourself in case something like that were to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was
You
a big
got to have
wake-up
some type
call
of
for us.
saving,
Yeah.
so that way you can put somebody in place and afford to hire someone that's going to delegate some tasks.
Yeah, because Scott and Ross both have all the knowledge in their head about how to powder coat, but you know, it's been, I think, maybe a wake up call for a few of us. A good friend of ours that's been on the podcast a few times is Powder Works Dallas Fort Worth.
Okay.
And Matthew is been on the show, and he had a heart attack a year ago, a little over a year ago actually. And he's recovered, but you know he's got 18 people on the floor. I mean, he was a pretty large powder coater, and he had to figure out a way to, you know, survive not just 2020, you know, but but the whole heart attack thing and stuff. So he's been an inspiration for me too. So there's guys out there that are dealing with physical stuff, and you know they need to plan for the future too. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, understanding their business is one of the best ways. Just like you mentioned, being able to understand our numbers, so that way when we're pricing, we feel confident in the prices that we're giving to know that we are making a profit. We're not going to run a business to make money. That's not the point of taking the risk, spending our full time coming to work and building a foundation. So we have to be making money. And with your calculator, I would love to actually see it.
Yeah, I'll see you
yeah,
later.
absolutely. I would love to actually see it because it's something that's extremely important to understand what our cost is prior to making prices.
Yeah, I have another calculator I'm working on right now too.
Okay.
I'll show you that one as well. But yeah, it's so good to meet you.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
You're an inspiration, and I'm happy to know you now and make a new friend. That's all what it's just about, making friends on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And you know, let's talk more about building this community and how we're going to do it.
Yeah, I would love to. If I'm able to, maybe join once every other week, I would love to, just so that way we can address certain topics of how the business can be run a little bit more efficiently. So that way we can actually take a step away. Like today, you know, if people are at SEMA, hopefully their business is still running without them being there. They're still able to make money rather than having the doors closed.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we all strive for.
Yeah, I mean, Ross was going to come, and he couldn't at the last minute because this job was just weighing him down. And I mean, he's still kind of in that hell, but he's getting through it. He's seeing the light of day, you know. Meanwhile, like all the other jobs are backing up, right? So it just didn't work out. I'm really kind of bummed about it, you know, because I was like, I mean, oh my gosh, I was so scared to do this live stuff because I just started doing lives.
Okay, excellent. So you were recording.
So I had no idea this was going to work. But
of course, it's going to work. You got the personality, you got the knowledge, you got the beautiful smile. Of course, it's going to work.
Yeah, so you know, it's worked out. But anyways, it's so good to meet you, and thanks for joining me at the Bingo booth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Enjoy SEMA. Bye-bye, guys.